Check this out, man. Out in Chicago, Brandon Johnson, the mayor, actually accused of practicing racism because he said, I mean, according to him, and quote that he would only hire black or black excellence or something like that. But a lot of people pushing back. I mean, as they should. Why would you this person? I mean, I live in Waukegan, which is north of Chicago. Um, and I've heard a lot about this guy Brandon Johnson. His policies and what he believes, and it's just like, I mean, I thought Lori Lightfoot was something else, or a lefty in politically, but this guy is like off the cliff lefty. My goodness, check this out, man. This is Brandon Johnson saying something about hiring
detractors that will
blacks.
push back on me and say, the only thing that the mayor talks about is the hiring of black people. No, what I'm saying is when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else. We
Our people.
are the most generous people on the planet.
Most generous people on the planet. Okay, I know a lot of different kind of people, different races. No, you can't just like generalize people, based on their race or skin tone. People would say, "Oh, all of this people like this and this people like that, and that's how you do it over there, and that's how you do it." I mean, just like some of the Americans that I've met, they have this preconceived notion about Filipinos in the Philippines, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, that's just how people are. You know what I mean? So, but Brandon Johnson, I don't know why would he would say that. I mean, Chicago, I know Chicago is very diverse. Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, Europeans, you know. Maybe he thinks it's 99% black population in Chicago. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what this guy think.
I don't know too many cultures that have play cousins. That's how generous we are. We just make somebody a family member, right? This is how we are.
Really? This guy knows a lot. I know a lot of black people. Good and bad and worse. Is this guy, I know that, there's some black that, family, but there, you know, the crime rates in Chicago alone, if you look at it, and they're black on black crimes. Maybe because maybe he's speaking at the, black only church. He's trying to get that pride. Look at us, excellence, and maybe he's just doing that.
Business and Economic Neighborhood Development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is a black man. Budget director.
So this is what the left does. They only care. This is why the DEI. I'm glad that President Trump scrapped that DEI on the public sector, even like in a federal thing. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're like at a restaurant and you just want to be diverse, or you can hire whoever you want. If they just going to like greet people and everything like that. But he's citing like, I don't know what to say about that. He cares more about the race of the individual and must hire them. See this? I hire all, they're all blacks. I mean, this is the same thing with you know, the whites, racist whites back in the day. They only hire whites because they got so much pride on them. And this goes to, other races and other people that will only hire based on the skin color, based on the race. In America today. Wow. Yeah.
It's a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man. BOA Construction received the prime construction contract at O'Hare under my administration. It's the first black prime construction worker company to have a prime contract anywhere in the United States of America. That's critical, not just for BOA Construction, but for the lives that he's going to transform.
Wait, is this kind of a mohawk? Is that? I heard he's paying he pays $3,000. I don't know. Not regular price for a haircut. He's paying a lot. Look at that. I mean, I can do that. If you're gonna pay me $1,000, I can do that.
Because he's hiring them. But it's also critical for other major construction companies or mid-sized construction companies that are black owned to know that there is a mayor who sees them and is going to work hard to ensure that whether you're developing homes, whether you are, looking to help take advantage of the opportunities through aviation, whether it's entrepreneurship to provide a service, that there are resources.
So you're not going to check their credentials or the ability to perform the job as long as they're black. See how that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. I was part of the hiring employees, back in the day. I've always looked for their ability and experience, Race is just doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter. But to some people like this guy, oh my goodness.
Available for you in the city of Chicago. And one thing that I know for sure that I have to do over these next 2 years, every single dime that our people have been robbed of, I want to make sure that is returned to threefold, because I believe in something called press down, running over.
Wait.
That is what we have.
Wait, what do you mean have been maybe? Okay. I know he's a really huge proponent of the reparations in Chicago. Maybe is that what he's talking about? Maybe that's what he's talking about, right? It's been robbed. Like someone went to their houses in the middle of the night and grabbed their cash and belongings. Is that what he's talking about, or is it talking about slavery that happens hundreds of years ago that they still cannot move on? And they still want to punish people, not just the whites. I mean, just me. I mean, my family came over to the United States in the 80s. Does that mean, and I have nothing to do with that. Does that mean I have to contribute that reparation that he's talking about? I mean, how would you know? How would you know how would you determine who's the person that would receive those reparations? That's a whole layers and complexity of how you want to deal with this. Does that mean that every African American, even those Africans that came to the United States in the 70s and 80s, would now get reparation that has nothing to do with the slave trade that happened hundreds of years ago. See how that works? It's just
to make sure that happens within our communities.
Yeah.
Holy frickin' moly. You know, it's wild that he would admit to this stuff on camera. I mean, usually this kind of thing would come out in a quiet leak, a secret recording, maybe of one of his staffers from James O'Keefe. But no, this is quite different. This is Brandon Johnson literally sitting in a chair doing a media interview and basically admitting that they were hiring not based on experience, not based on competence, but by race. That is insane. This is open racism, open discrimination from the side that's constantly lecturing us.
And there's some people, and then people out there that's actually applauding this. You know, like, yay! You know, just same with people just would just like in Facebook. When I saw things on Facebook posting stuff like black owned or brown owned or whatever, support black and brown owned, something like that. Or I would only shop in black owned restaurant, black owned establishment, or something like that. That's just, I mean,
about this exact thing. But it's okay in 2025 because they changed the definition of racism, right? Now it's prejudice plus power. Well, unfortunately for them, they haven't changed the Constitution. And while the folks at MSNBC might love this stuff, the law doesn't. And so no, this isn't equity. It's not progress. It's not MSNBC's Eli Mistal's wet dream come to reality.
Black people cannot save this country from white folks.
Oh my goodness. Who is this bozo? Oh, I remember this guy. Yeah, this is another lunatic. This guy's like, is like what's his name? Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton and steroids. That's
we can't do it alone. If white folks aren't going to join in, if white women aren't going to join in, if Latinos aren't going to join in, we can't do it alone.
No, it's just discrimination.
I ain't joining in. We might have a similar skin tone, but that's just radical, dude.
And it's illegal. And now the Trump DOJ is stepping in under Harmeet Dillon, and they're announcing a formal civil rights investigation into whether the city of Chicago has violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. You know, the law that says you can't make hiring decisions based on race. The law Democrats pretend to worship and be champions of. Yeah, of course, only when it suits them. The laws are very clear. They don't say you can't discriminate unless the person is white, or you can't discriminate unless you're trying to uplift a black person. No, that's not how this works. Racism, the concept itself, is the act of treating somebody differently based on their race. And under the federal civil rights law, specifically Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, it is flat out illegal to hire, fire, promote, or pass over someone because of their race. And that includes white people, blacks, Latinos, Asians, no matter what your race is.
Yeah, so this, I mean, a lot of people will interpret these things like the Section 707, you know, the Civil Rights Act, 1964. They think it's only for non-white, you know, especially, or just for blacks or something like that, you know, but it's not. That doesn't state anything. I'm reading it. Yeah. It just says prohibits discrimination on the basis of race. Yeah. So
it's neutral and applies to every single group. There's no special carve-outs for the purposes of reparations. And if you look at the basic definition of this law and what Brandon Johnson said quite idiotically on camera, well, it seems pretty clear-cut. I mean, this guy's not even trying to hide it. He's just bragging about it, quite frankly. That they were picking their staff based on race because he believed that black people are the most generous on earth.
We are the most generous people on the planet.
Now, you can make your own decision whether
I've met some people. I mean, I've met some black people that are generous, good, you know, Christians, loving. Yeah, but not all of them. Not all, just like Filipinos. Just like when they said, oh, Filipinos are good people. No, dude, you haven't met, not all the Filipinos. Not all Filipinos are, you know, want to help you. You know what I mean? Not all whites want to, you know, help you, or not all whites racist. Not all blacks are this and this and that. You know, same thing with this things like out on the X now, black fatigue or something like. I don't know who started that. You know, but not all black are like that. They don't act all like that. Not the black people I know.
Whether that's true or not, I'm sure it's up for debate, but whether or not the statement is a statement of fact isn't necessarily the issue or the question here. No, it's more the fact that that is openly racist. And the way you know that is simply change the words, right?
Yeah.
Take what Eli Mistel said earlier, or any of the comments made by Brandon Johnson,
Yeah.
and then just switch the word black with white.
With white,
All
yeah.
of a sudden, we're back in the era of BLM riots and burning down federal buildings, now aren't we? This is why we call them the regressive left.
Yeah.
They love to call themselves progressive. But when you go down these roads, it always leads to the same place, the same endpoint, a bastardization of the initial ideal. All the
Yeah.
worst elements of humanity start to take over, the system gets corrupted, and you end up exactly where you started, if not at a worse
Exactly.
place. The goal is to end racism, end discrimination, end
Yeah.
race-based hiring and segregation. And then they literally go right back to that
yeah.
place, except this time, the gun's pointed in the opposite direction. It's simply unacceptable.
Seems
You don't
like it.
fix injustice by creating new injustices.
Right.
You don't fight racism by becoming
Racist.
racist. I mean, come on.
Boom.
And so it's absolutely time to send a message. I'm 100% behind this decision from the Trump DOJ to investigate
Yeah,
Brandon
me too.
Johnson. I don't blame them
Yeah,
for doing it.
I don't blame them from doing it. You know, if anyone is doing that, whether it be white, black, brown, you know, yellow, orange, purple, you know what I mean? If you're breaking the law, then go for it. You know what I mean? So this is what they're probably going to take this and it's like, look how racist Trump's administration is. You know, because it's like in the world of Brandon Johnson's world, there's nothing wrong with it. That's what, you know, and he's encouraged by his peers. You know why? It's because a lot of people in Chicago, there are some people in Chicago that they think they're going to gain financially, but this rhetoric that this guy's doing is about reparations. You know, why not? And if I'm going to get $5,000 a month because of the reparation and all of that, why not? I'm for it. You know, that's and those common sense people are going. You know, they're going to fight back. They're going to push back. And this nonsense, it's idiotic thing to do, to hire based on their race, just because they're this and this and that, white, brown, black. You're going to hire them. It's based on that. Oh boy, it's exhausting. I know, but keep it here. Hey, Liberal Hive Man, I think this is the video. So I'm gonna go post the link on the description. You can watch the whole thing if you want. So, all right, this is for now. Keep it here. This is Frodo and Frodo.